Our trauma team takes precedent and coordinates care. Our emergency department, our theatre teams and our trauma team did beautifully, as well as every staff member in the hospital. I couldn't get people to go home last night. They were all wanting to stay and actually help in any way possible. It was very calm and very well controlled and very well responded to last night, so I do want to acknowledge how proud I am of the team that work at the Royal Children's Hospital and the magnificent care that they provide in these sorts of situations.
Bernadette, obviously very traumatic for some of these children amputations. Are you able to give a number of how many children have had to undergo this surgery?
At this stage, we have a number of children who have partial. We only have one child who has a complete amputation.
And you say that one child is in the ICU. Are you able to update us on what kind of injuries that child has sustained?
No, I won't go into detail about that particular child, but suffice to say that child is likely to come out of ICU today.
And 7 children remain in hospital. Obviously, the injuries you've seen are very serious. How surprised are you that we have escaped this without a fatality?
I am extremely surprised. Having said that, the children, I would never say they were lucky. We have to acknowledge that, this is traumatic for every single person that was involved, the families. We have some very traumatised families and children in our hospital at the moment, and we're working extremely hard to provide that trauma support and care that they will need, not just now, but in the coming weeks and months as well.
How are their parents coping in there at the moment?
The parents are, obviously traumatised. They needed to wait until the early hours of the morning to be reunited with their children. The children were all in theatre very, very quickly from the emergency department. So we're just giving the parents as much support as we possibly can. As I said, not just now, but we'll, in the coming months and weeks, we'll absolutely support them.
I understand a code brown was declared last night. Is that true? Can you talk us through that?
Sure. It is a routine emergency response in these sorts of situations. We were notified, I was notified yesterday afternoon that our emergency department had received a call from Ambulance Victoria that there had been a bus crash and there were at least 10 children expected. So we take the advice of our emergency department, we activated a code brown. That puts the whole hospital on response for an emergency response. It is a normal emergency response and the hospital is well trained in how to respond to that. Our trauma team, I do have to acknowledge our trauma team and our Director of Trauma, Warwick Teague, he took the leadership role yesterday and the hospital responded beautifully.
You, of course, are well trained to deal with something like this, but Bernadette, in your experience, how does this rate in terms of emergencies that your hospital has had to deal with?
Well, the Royal Children's has a long history of responding to major emergencies. We know that the Burke Street shootings, or the car chases, all sorts of things. So the hospital responds extremely well. What we do need to take care of is our staff, though. There can be a trauma response from our staff. So I've talked in the briefing this morning about what are we doing for our staff and how we're managing our staff in terms of making sure that they feel well supported as well. But the Royal Children's Hospital staff, I do have to keep saying I'm extremely proud of them. They respond extremely well in any circumstances and put the child and the family absolutely at the centre of everything we do.
And you had to call in some specialists. What kind of specialists did you have to call in to deal with this?
We got some surgeons from the Royal Melbourne, vascular surgeons, and they are specialist microplastic surgeons. You would understand with these sort of injuries, very small vessels need to be repaired and reattached, and they stayed with us for a few hours, and then our teams kept going into the night and we were able to release those surgeons. But I do want to say thank you to the Royal Melbourne and the surgeons. They responded extremely quickly and were here on site very, very quickly.
What's the rehabilitation looking like for these kids?
Very long-term rehabilitation. Yeah, it will be a long journey for these children and their families, but we're here to provide the support for that whole journey. Yeah.
You said 2 are yet to go into theatre. How many surgeries overnight?
We ran 4 theatres all at the same time last night with children in theatre, and we've got another 2 to go today, and those children that were operated on last night will more than likely require returns to theatre over the coming days and coming weeks. You would understand that today our theatre is now very busy with caring for these children, so there will be some cancellations today, unfortunately, in order to make sure that we can respond appropriately.
Do you have any indication on whether kids were wearing seatbelts?
I have no idea and I can't comment on the actual accident. That will be for Victoria Police to investigate. Yeah.
And what kind of support are you offering parents here?
So last night we offered accommodation and straight away accommodation, made sure that they were taken care of, and we worked really hard to reunite them with their children as quickly as possible once the child was out of theatre. But as you would understand, it took hours of surgery last night, so we will continue to provide the support. We had our social work team here last night on call ready to activate, and they took care of parents. We had great nursing managers overnight who also give that specialised care and treat to families and provide that support to them.